So I have been a consultant for multinational executives for about 20 years. I've been in China for 17, and for the last 2 years I've been doing research on expat executives for a book I'm working on right now. Now, all I can do is just bring you a couple of good questions and bring you some data that answer these questions. Very briefly, I'm going to start with the question, how easy or difficult is it to do business in China? What you have to know is that last year the Chinese government set up a specific department to study the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index and change the economic indicators in the country accordingly. They did such a good job that although China was number 78 for many years, they brought it up to number 46. To put it in a little bit of context, China's previous place, 78, is currently held by Oman. Are there many foreigners in China is the next question I want to bring you. You will find that most of the advanced economies benefiting from globalization have about 10 to 15% of foreigners in their population, and anything less than 1% is considered very low. China is at the bottom of this list with less than 0.1% of foreign population here. In absolute numbers, there are more foreigners in South Korea than in China. In relative numbers, even North Korea has a higher population of foreigners than China does. Now, another thing you can look at is, we all hear that foreigner restaurants are closing, multinationals are leaving. I heard all these things but didn't have the numbers until I saw this research by BenChem, the Benelux Chamber of Commerce, which reports a 6% decrease year on year for the last 3 years. And then a study by McKinsey which confirms the same numbers. Of course, China is still a popular expat destination. It's not one of the top destinations, but it's still a popular destination. For a country which is number 46 on the Ease of Doing Business Index, being number 26 on the HSBC's Expat Explorer Survey, which is basically a popularity contest between expat locations, is not that bad. These 33 countries listed in the survey are an elite club of expat destinations. The reason why foreigners like to come to China is mostly related to career prospects. Basically, for most expats, a China posting is a huge promotion in terms of volume of business and responsibility. Another reason is that they can save more money in China than almost anywhere else. In this year's HSBC index, there are only 2 countries that allow more disposable income for foreigners, for expats, than China does. And then finally, the challenge itself is motivation as well. You know, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But of course, there are also lots of reasons why foreigners don't want to come to China. Multinational companies say that many talented expats refuse a posting to China, and the number one reason is air pollution. If we look at the data, the research that chambers of commerce and international companies do, you can find other reasons, such as unreasonable visa requirements, restricted internet, or not enough education for their kids. So what does it mean? There is a lot of panic. Are foreigners leaving? Are multinational companies leaving? Now, what you have to imagine is that business works like this. Any reason that keeps foreigners away from China is also a business opportunity. Air pollution supports entire industries, air purifiers, pharmaceuticals and food. Limited internet means that Chinese people have to rely on international companies to get outside information. Also, multinational companies are extremely integrated in Chinese society. Maybe a little bit too much for the taste of the Chinese government sometimes. So you know, the classical expat is a technically trained, non-Chinese speaking person who brings a lot of experience to this country and who networks with all kinds of people, factory workers, factory owners, government officials, all over the country on various trips. But recent visa regulations are nudging the expat community to another direction. People who are highly educated, people who speak Chinese. But these people don't bring that many years of experience to the country, and they definitely don't network that widely. Most of those expats, they hang out, they keep in touch with the privileged elite of the country, top 5% in top tier cities. If multinationals want to survive here, they don't need the rocket scientists that the Chinese government imagines. We need people who speak Chinese, but we also need people who are agile, who have a countrywide network, and who have both the flexibility and the toughness to figure out the Chinese business environment. And I've spent a fair amount of my working time identifying the psychological and cultural profile of just such people and develop them into senior management positions in multinational companies. If you have questions of your own, because these were my questions, please find me online or find me after the speeches here. I would be very happy to answer all of them. And with that, I thank you.